begins with philosophy, not money, not luck, not timing. Wealth begins with the ideas you allow to take root in your mind. I've met people who chase money all their lives, who work hard, who hustle, who sacrifice, and yet they never get ahead. Why? Because they never thought differently. They never built a philosophy strong enough to guide their decisions, their actions, their habits. Philosophy is the foundation. Without it, wealth is fleeting, unpredictable, and often elusive. I remember a young man who wanted to get rich. He studied investment opportunities. He listened to financial advice. He even borrowed money to start ventures. He was motivated, full of energy, thinking that excitement and action were enough. But each venture failed. He didn't lack effort. He lacked a philosophy, a set of principles about money, work, discipline, and value. Without that framework, every decision was reactive, short-sighted, and unstable. Motivation alone cannot build wealth. Philosophy can. Wealth is not built in a day, and it is not built on temporary emotion. It is built on principles. The ideas you carry shape the choices you make, and the choices you make determine the life you create. If you believe that wealth comes from luck, you will act accordingly. If you believe wealth comes from effort alone, you will act accordingly. If you believe wealth comes from understanding value, giving service, and building relationships, your actions will reflect that. Your philosophy precedes your results. And here's the reality. Many people ignore their philosophy. They accept ideas from society, from friends, from the news, from temporary trends. They adopt slogans instead of principles. They chase superficial goals. And as a result, wealth remains elusive. But those who study ideas, who reflect, who develop a personal philosophy, who think about life intentionally, they approach money differently. They understand leverage, timing, relationships, habits, and discipline. They don't just work hard, they work smart. They don't just chase income, they build value. Let me be clear. A strong philosophy does not guarantee wealth overnight. It does not magically deposit checks into your bank account, but it does provide a map, a compass, a framework for decision making. With philosophy, you see opportunities that others miss. You avoid mistakes that others repeat. You act consistently when others hesitate. Motivation may start you, but philosophy keeps you on the path. Wealth is a product of thought first, action second, results third. Change your thinking, and your actions will change. Change your philosophy, and your results will follow. I've met people with modest income, but wealthy philosophies. They manage their money wisely. They invest in themselves. They build networks and knowledge. They may not have millions yet, but they are rich in principle. And eventually, that richness produces real wealth. Philosophy is the seed. Wealth is the harvest. So tonight, consider your own philosophy. Is it guiding you toward lasting wealth? Or is it leaving you chasing temporary excitement and quick fixes? Are your ideas shaping your actions, or are you drifting with circumstance? The road to wealth is paved not with money alone, but with thought, with principle, with a philosophy that commands action, discipline, and patience. Motivation is temporary. Philosophy is permanent. And when you understand that, everything begins to change. Let's begin with groundwork. Philosophy shapes everything, and without it, action is blind. I knew a man who worked long hours, sacrificing evenings and weekends, believing that sheer effort alone would make him wealthy. He hustled constantly, motivated and eager, but he never saved wisely, never invested thoughtfully, never understood leverage or relationships. His philosophy was incomplete, and his results reflected that. Effort without principle is like building a house on sand. It may stand for a time, but it will not endure. Contrast that with another man I knew who earned less initially, but studied principles of wealth. He read books, attended seminars, and thought critically about money, service, and discipline. He didn't rush. He planned. He didn't chase trends. He built systems. Every decision, every dollar, every hour of work was guided by philosophy. Over the years, he accumulated more wealth than the first man, even though he worked fewer hours. His philosophy created leverage. His thinking dictated his actions. His actions produced results. Philosophy also determines how we handle adversity. The first man saw obstacles as failures, setbacks as reasons to quit. The second man saw obstacles as tests, challenges as opportunities to apply his principles. He invested in knowledge, nurtured relationships, and persisted through difficulties. Philosophy shapes resilience. Motivation may give temporary energy, but philosophy gives endurance. Motivation fades, principle lasts. Here's another illustration. I once met a young woman who wanted financial independence. She felt inspired when she heard success stories, but her thinking was scattered. She believed that wealth came from quick wins and luck. She acted, but without a guiding philosophy. Her results were inconsistent. Then she committed to learning the principles of money, budgeting, investing, understanding value, and building skills. She shifted her thinking. Her actions became intentional, disciplined, and aligned with long-term results. Philosophy turned sporadic effort into a clear, successful strategy. Notice the pattern. Philosophy precedes action. It determines how decisions are made, how risks are taken, and how opportunities are recognized. Motivation may push you to act, but it cannot ensure you act wisely. Philosophy provides that guidance. Without it, effort is random. With it, effort is strategic. Without it, work can be wasted. With it, work compounds and produces lasting results. And it is not only about money. Wealth is a product of life thinking, how we approach work, relationships, learning, and service. The principles of giving, discipline, and preparation apply universally. People who understand this build wealth across multiple areas, not just in their bank accounts. Philosophy becomes the framework for a life of abundance. Motivation alone cannot build that. Motivation may excite, but philosophy sustains. Tonight, consider the ideas that guide your decisions. Are they intentional, tested, and sound, or are they borrowed, impulsive, and inconsistent? Your philosophy determines your actions, and your actions determine your results. Effort without guiding principle may produce temporary gains, but it will not build lasting wealth. Philosophy is the blueprint. Wealth is the structure. The choice is yours. Build with a plan or drift without direction. Now let's explore contradictions. People often believe wealth comes from hard work alone. Others believe it comes from luck. Some believe it comes from taking risks. And yet all of these approaches fail without a guiding philosophy. Hard work without direction can burn you out. Luck without preparation is meaningless. Risk without principle is recklessness. Philosophy is the bridge between effort and results. It shapes how you act, how you evaluate opportunities, and how you handle setbacks. I remember a young man who was motivated to start a business. He worked tirelessly, full of energy, believing sheer hustle would make him wealthy. He spent nights and weekends building the business, but he lacked a philosophy about money, about value, about service. He ignored planning, ignored learning, ignored mentorship. Within a year, the business collapsed. Effort alone cannot create lasting wealth. The principles you operate by determine whether your actions succeed. Motivation may inspire, but principle sustains. Contrast that with another individual who started with less energy and less capital, but a clear philosophy. He focused on learning the fundamentals of business, on understanding his customers, on building relationships, and on delivering consistent value. He was disciplined, methodical, and patient. Opportunities came and went, but he evaluated each decision through the lens of principle. Over time, his ventures grew, his wealth accumulated, and his confidence in decision-making strengthened. Philosophy guided him when motivation wavered. Here's the key insight. Philosophy gives perspective. It allows you to evaluate situations clearly instead of reacting emotionally. Motivation can push you to action, but it cannot help you decide wisely. Philosophy filters every choice through reason, principle, and long-term vision. It turns momentary energy into sustainable action. Without philosophy, even the most motivated person drifts, missteps, and wastes effort. With philosophy, even small deliberate steps accumulate into extraordinary results. Consider habits. Motivation can encourage a person to take a few actions, but philosophy determines which habits are built. A motivated person may exercise sporadically, invest inconsistently, or save randomly. A person with a wealth philosophy invests time in learning, builds financial discipline, and develops routines that generate value over time. Habits compound. Philosophy guides those habits. Motivation cannot sustain them. Another example, decision-making. Wealth is built on decisions: how to spend time, how to spend money, how to invest effort. Motivation can push a person to make decisions, but philosophy ensures those decisions are strategic and aligned with long-term goals. Without philosophy, decisions are reactive, inconsistent, and often self-defeating. With philosophy, decisions become deliberate, principled, and productive. One choice after another, guided by philosophy, produces a life of wealth that motivation alone cannot touch. And here's a paradox. People often chase motivation because it feels urgent, exciting, immediate. Philosophy feels slow, deliberate, and sometimes abstract. Yet philosophy creates the conditions for lasting wealth. Motivation gives a momentary lift. Philosophy builds momentum. Motivation is a spark. Philosophy is the engine. One can be flashy, the other quiet, but only one carries results into the future. Tonight, reflect on your thinking. Are your decisions guided by excitement, by emotion, by fleeting inspiration? Or are they grounded in principle, reason, and philosophy? Motivation alone is temporary. Philosophy is durable. Motivation may push you to start. Philosophy ensures you finish. Motivation may get attention. Philosophy builds results. And that distinction is the difference between fleeting effort and lasting wealth. Now let's bridge principle to action. Philosophy is not theory, it's practical. It shapes the routines, the disciplines, and the strategies that lead directly to wealth. Without action, philosophy is incomplete. But without philosophy, action is blind. The combination of the two is where results live. I once knew a man who felt motivated every January to set financial goals. He wrote them down, he repeated affirmations, he even told others about his big plans. But he never had a philosophy of money. He never learned about budgeting, about saving, about investing. His goals were full of energy, but his actions had no guidance. By March, the excitement was gone, and the goals were forgotten. Motivation had sparked, but philosophy was missing. Another man, however, built his life differently. He started with a philosophy that wealth is built by creating value and managing resources wisely. That idea guided his choices. He budgeted, he saved, he invested consistently. He learned new skills to increase his value in the marketplace. He didn't need motivation every morning. His philosophy guided him daily. His wealth grew because his philosophy drove consistent action. Philosophy turns vague intentions into specific habits. For example, someone motivated to get rich might say, "I'll save more this year." That's a wish. A person with a philosophy of wealth says, I'll save 10% of every paycheck before I spend a dime. That's a principle. Motivation might push you to save once or twice. Philosophy ensures you save every time. The same applies to learning. Motivation may inspire you to read a book or attend a class, but a philosophy of continuous growth will push you to review, apply, and repeat. Knowledge without action fades, but when philosophy shapes action, knowledge compounds. That is how a person becomes more valuable, and value attracts wealth. Philosophy also affects time. Motivation may make you work hard for a season, but a wealth philosophy teaches you to use time as an investment. Hours spent learning, serving, creating, and planning are deposits into your future. Motivation can encourage bursts of effort, but philosophy builds a lifetime of consistent progress. One more example, relationships. A person motivated to make quick money may see people only as transactions. But a wealth philosophy says that relationships are the foundation of opportunity. Trust, service, and integrity build networks that produce results long after motivation fades. Action rooted in philosophy creates wealth that lasts. So here's the challenge. Don't just act. Act with philosophy. Don't just save with principle. Don't just learn with application. Don't just work with strategy. Motivation may give you energy, but philosophy gives you direction. And direction combined with energy is what creates wealth. Motivation fades, but a clear philosophy will keep you moving when the excitement is gone. It will dictate your habits, your choices, and your consistency. And wealth in the end is not built on occasional bursts of effort. It is built on philosophy expressed through daily action. That is the bridge between dreaming and achieving. Now let's turn up the pressure. Philosophy must not only guide action, it must withstand resistance. Wealth is not built on sunny days alone. It is tested in the storms. And this is where philosophy proves its power. I've watched people get excited about wealth when the economy is strong, when jobs are plenty, when opportunities seem everywhere. But the moment a setback arrives, the market dips, a job is lost, a business slows, their motivation vanishes. They quit, they panic, they retreat. Why? Because they were operating on feelings, not philosophy. Feelings cannot carry you through storms, only principles can. I recall a businessman who once faced 3 consecutive failures. Motivation could not have kept him going. What carried him forward was philosophy. His belief that value creates wealth, that service attracts opportunity, that persistence builds resilience. He rebuilt each time, stronger, smarter, more disciplined. Years later, his philosophy turned defeat into victory. His wealth was not born from luck. It was forged in the fire of challenge. Here's the truth. Adversity reveals philosophy. Anyone can act when motivated. Few can act when discouraged. Wealth requires more than bursts of excitement. It requires a framework that tells you what to do when you don't feel like doing anything. Philosophy gives that framework. Motivation shouts, philosophy whispers, stay the course. So I challenge you tonight. When your energy is low, what will carry you? When your goals feel distant, what will sustain you? If your answer is motivation, you will fail. If your answer is philosophy, clear principles, sound habits, consistent action, then wealth is inevitable. Philosophy also determines how you see obstacles. Some people view them as stop signs. Others, with a wealth philosophy, see them as detours, lessons, or even opportunities. The difference is not in the obstacle. It is in the philosophy. Motivation reacts. Philosophy interprets. An interpretation determines persistence. Let me give you a picture. Imagine two investors. The first one invests with excitement when markets rise, then pulls out in fear when markets fall. His results are scattered, inconsistent, and disappointing. The second one invests with philosophy, guided by long-term principles. He knows markets rise and fall, but value grows with patience. He stays the course, adjusts with wisdom, and in time, his wealth multiplies. The difference is philosophy. Motivation leads to reaction. Philosophy leads to strategy. Wealth requires resilience, and resilience is born from philosophy. Motivation may ignite you, but it cannot sustain you when life tests you. Only principles can. Only discipline can. Only habits can. Motivation may make you believe for a moment. Philosophy makes you endure for a lifetime. So tonight, I urge you to strengthen your philosophy. Study it, refine it, apply it. Don't wait for storms to test you. Build your foundation now. Then when the storms come, and they will, you will not collapse. You will adapt, persist, and overcome. Motivation will fail you. Philosophy will save you. Now let's expand the view. Philosophy is not just about money. It touches every domain of life. And if your philosophy is strong in one area, but weak in another, eventually the weakness will limit your wealth. Philosophy must be whole, balanced, and applied broadly. Consider health. What good is wealth if your health collapses? A philosophy of health says take care of the body. It's the only place you have to live. That means discipline in diet, rest, and exercise. Motivation may get you to jog once or eat a salad once, but a health philosophy will keep you consistent year after year. And with health, you have the energy to create wealth. Without it, wealth slips through your fingers. Consider relationships. Wealth grows best when built on trust, on service, on meaningful connections. A philosophy of relationships says, treat people well, keep promises, give more than you take. Motivation may inspire a kind act once in a while. But a relationship philosophy builds networks of influence, trust, and opportunity. Business is human. Wealth is human. And without a philosophy of relationships, financial gain becomes fragile. Consider learning. A wealth philosophy includes the idea that your mind must always be expanding. What you don't know can cost you dearly. Motivation may inspire you to read a book once, but a philosophy of growth says, never stop learning, never stop reviewing, never stop applying. Your mind is your greatest asset, and expanding it is the surest investment you can make. Consider service. Wealth flows toward value. A philosophy of service says, to increase income, increase value. To create value, improve yourself, improve your skills, improve your contribution. Motivation may push you to work harder temporarily, but philosophy keeps you working smarter permanently. Wealth follows those who serve consistently. And consider discipline. A wealth philosophy acknowledges that discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. Without discipline, ideas remain ideas. Motivation cannot replace discipline. Philosophy insists on it. Discipline multiplies small actions into great results, little by little, year after year. So wealth is not a separate piece of life. It is connected to health, to relationships, to learning, to service, to discipline. Philosophy unites them. When you live by principle in every area, wealth is not a chase. It is a natural result. When philosophy is fragmented, life is fragmented, and wealth remains unstable. Ask yourself tonight, what is my philosophy of health, of relationships, of growth, of service, of discipline? Wealth is not just money. It is life well lived. And life well lived is built on philosophy. Now we arrive at the dividing line. Philosophy builds wealth, but only if you decide to live by it. This is not about hearing ideas and feeling inspired. This is about adopting principles, applying them daily, and letting them guide your choices. The choice is urgent because time is not neutral. Every day you delay, your habits deepen. Every day you postpone, your opportunities diminish. If you don't build a philosophy on purpose, one will be built for you by circumstance, and that philosophy rarely leads to wealth. I've met people who said, someday I'll start saving. Someday I'll start learning. Someday I'll get disciplined, but someday is a thief. Years later, they wonder why wealth never came. The truth is, it wasn't income that failed them. It was philosophy. They waited for motivation instead of deciding on principle. They drifted instead of designing. They let time pass instead of putting time to work. Wealth is built when you make a conscious choice. I will live by principle, not by mood. I will act on philosophy, not on feelings. I will design my life, not drift through it. That choice, made today, changes the trajectory of your future. Philosophy sets the path. Discipline walks the path. Consistency keeps you on the path. Wealth is the result of staying on it. And the urgency is real. If you're young, philosophy compounds over decades. If you're older, philosophy redeems wasted years and creates stability for the future. No matter where you are, the time to act is now. Waiting for motivation is dangerous. Depending on emotion is fragile. Choosing philosophy is powerful. And once chosen, it must be applied every day. Think of wealth like a tree. Philosophy is the seed. Action is the planting. Discipline is the watering. Consistency is the sunlight. Over time, the tree grows. Those who wait for motivation never plant, never water, never stay consistent. They live surrounded by barren soil, wondering why others have orchards. The answer is simple. Philosophy builds wealth, but only if you plant it, nurture it, and stay the course. So here's the final dividing line. You can live by excitement, waiting for sparks that fade, or you can live by philosophy, building principles that last. One path leads to disappointment. The other leads to wealth. Not just financial wealth, but wealth of character, of health, of relationships, of life itself. The decision is urgent, and it is yours alone. Choose wisely. Build your philosophy. Apply it relentlessly. Let it guide your habits, your time, your service, your discipline. That is the path to wealth. That is the only path that lasts. So let's finish here. Wealth does not begin in your pocket. It begins in your head. It begins in your philosophy. If your ideas are weak, your results will be weak. If your principles are scattered, your actions will be scattered, but if your philosophy is strong, clear, and tested, your actions will follow and your wealth will grow. I've seen people chase money for decades, always running, always struggling, because their philosophy never changed. They believed the wrong ideas, and those ideas shaped their lives. On the other hand, I've seen people who started with very little, yet built extraordinary results because they changed the way they thought. They chose a philosophy of value, of service, of discipline, of growth, and that choice changed everything. So tonight, the decision is before you. You can wait for motivation, hoping it will carry you to success, but it won't. Or you can design a philosophy that will shape your habits, your discipline, your preparation, your service, and your persistence. One path leads to fleeting energy and empty results. The other path builds lasting wealth, step by step, year by year. Don't be casual about this. Casual philosophy produces casual results. Serious philosophy produces serious results. Build a philosophy that demands action, that requires discipline, that rewards consistency. Wealth will follow. Not overnight, not by accident, but inevitably. So take this challenge. Write down the principles that will guide you. Review them daily. Let them shape your decisions. Let them dictate your habits. Let them correct your course when you drift. Philosophy is not something you visit once, it's something you live by every day. Motivation will fade. Feelings will come and go. But philosophy, once chosen, once applied, becomes the unshakable foundation for a life of wealth and purpose. And that is the only path worth walking.